Tonight, a deadly crash in Macon County claims the life of a Hannibal man. What the Missouri Highway Patrol now says happened straight ahead.
Plus, in tonight's Connect to Congress, hear what your lawmakers in Washington have to say about a recent resignation in the nation's capital.
It's a recipe for disaster which could start with you. I'm Michael Velarchi live in Quincy with what local emergency officials want you to know about field fires.
This is KHQA News at 6, working for you.
Our top story tonight, Missouri lawmakers are now questioning prison officials. This after reports of employee harassment. Now, reports have come in about alleged widespread harassment among prison system employees and retaliation against people who tried to report it.
Now, according to the Kansas City alternative weekly paper, The Pitch, the state paid more than $7.5 million in related settlements and judgments from 2012 to 2016. Now, lawmakers drilled prison officials during a hearing today and found out the Corrections Department have been policing itself. According to the Inspector General, the current system allows some complaints to possibly slip through the cracks. Now, the newly appointed Department of Corrections Director says this issue is a top priority.
Demolition started today to make room for the new Adams County Jail in Quincy. Now, all of these properties there on your screen are located at 6th and Vermont Streets in Quincy. The new jail will be built near the current jail and courthouse. The Adams County Board will meet again in April to finalize design plans and start the bidding process.
New charges have now been filed against this Hannibal man on your screen. Prosecuting attorney David Clayton says Jason Coulter now faces domestic assault, burglary, and resisting arrest charges. He faces 15 years or more in prison if convicted.
Also in crime news tonight, this Quincy man was arrested yesterday for retail theft. 30-year-old Landon Houston is accused of stealing from Farm and Home Supply in Quincy. He was taken to the Adams County Jail. New at 6 o'clock, after marathon debates, both the House and Senate passed sweeping changes to Iowa's collective bargaining laws today.
That's right. Republican leaders limit debate time and forced a vote. KHQA's Iowa State House reporter Steffi Lee brings us the latest reaction.
Today's decision brought a lot of division here at the State House, but today's vote didn't fall on party lines in the House, and the Iowa legislature's sole independent senator also didn't vote for it.
Union members stood up with fists up.
The bill, having received a constitutional majority, is declared to have passed the Senate.
As it all became final, this bill limiting collective bargaining rights for public workers now heads to the governor's desk.
A win for local control. A win for better government.
While Republican State Representative Andy McKean says he supports collective bargaining reform, he couldn't support this bill.
What I'm looking for is I think our unions need to be more responsive to the folks they represent, and I think there needed to be a more even playing field between employers and employees. The bill included an exception for public safety employees. It did not include correctional officers, and in my opinion, if there was any group that should be included in that exception, it's our correctional officers.
Democrats in the final hours saying they fought hard against it and fought for public workers.
The majority in this chamber owns this horrible bill. May God forgive you, because the working men and women of Iowa will not. Thank you.
But Republicans standing firm, saying their bill will strengthen the overall public despite public outcry.
This bill, I believe heart and soul, is a win for all Iowans and the delivery of a promise from Republicans that we would reform government to make it more efficient.
The Republican changes to this bill would include restoring proper cause, as well as making some negotiation areas like seniority permissive. In Des Moines, Steffi Lee reporting.
Well, new in the Show Me State tonight, a new hair braiding bill now advances its way through the House. Well, that means it could soon become easier for people to start hair braiding businesses in the state. Currently, braiders must get a cosmetology license to operate. The new bill would allow braiders to register with the State Board of Cosmetology and barber examiners. They also would have to pay a small fee and take a self-test about sanitation. Supporters say the new bill encourages new businesses services. Opponents say the bill is unfair to cosmetologists.
Well, tonight's Connect to Congress features interviews with Congressman Darren LaHood and Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois. The two lawmakers chimed in on this week's resignation of embattled National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Now, the resignation follows reports that he misled officials about his contacts with Russia. Republican Representative Darren LaHood had this to say.
When you have allegations of not being truthful, you need to get rid of those people in your administration.
Now, the senior senator from Illinois feels the president still has a lot of work to do when it comes to national security.
The president is off to a very rocky start in this area, and still so many unanswered questions about the involvement in the Russians who did this cyber attack on America's political campaign.
Now, President Donald Trump pushed back against media reports that his campaign advisors had inappropriate contact with Russia. He vowed to crack down on the leaking of classified information.
Now, your 7-storm team first forecast.
Very warm day across the tri-states. In addition to that, the wind was rather brisk at times out of the southwest, pumping some of that warm air in across the nation's midsection. Much of the same expected for tomorrow. How warm did we get today? 67 at Quincy Regional, 71 at St. Louis, 72 at Kansas City, only 56 at the Quad Cities. The warm air not quite reaching the upper Mississippi Valley quite yet. Currently 60 at Quincy, 67 at St. Louis, 66 at Kansas City. There's not much going on here across our neck of the woods other than upstairs. We got a little northerly flow that's bringing in a little bit of cirrus cloud cover, but at the surface we still have a southwesterly component that is still bringing in some very warm air. 43 is going to be the low. That's not even our average high for this time of year. The southwest wind will continue at 5 to 10 miles an hour. For tomorrow, believe it or not, will be even warmer still. Highs that'll be getting up near 70 by mid-afternoon with a southwest wind at 10 to 15 miles an hour. I imagine that we'll be looking at red flag warnings once again that will be hoisted for parts of the tri-states, which means no open burning. Well, new at 6, Mother Nature has the perfect recipe for disaster in the tri-states. The lack of snowfall or even rainfall mixed with the warm weather, the strong wind, low humidity that often stirs up large field fires. KHQA's Michael Pilarchi to show you how easily these fires can get out of hand.
Rich and empty fields such as this one can be destroyed within seconds if a field fire were to break out. Now, this can happen if someone does either a control or recreational burn and miss 2 vital steps, which could cause serious problems. It's a combination of wind and warm weather. Chris Costigan is a lieutenant with Tri-Township Fire Department. He says there's one element Mother Nature could add to turn into a field fire.
Conditions are dry right now and there's a lot of dead vegetation.
Tri-State emergency officials are alert after a field fire broke out in Hancock County 24 hours ago. Costigan says people should be aware when doing either a controlled or a recreational burn. He says these fires happen in one of 2 ways.
Unattended, they walk away from it for a minute and the fire jumps to a field or nearby vegetation or wooded area.
The second is when people decide to burn in winds exceeding over 10 miles per hour.
If you're getting 15, 20 mile an hour winds, there's a good chance it's going to get away from you.
Those chances increase when people decide to burn at night and forget about what they started. Another tip is to make sure you have extinguishing tools, a gardening hose, and even a rake nearby. Costigan says these items will come in handy to help minimize a field fire. Costigan says if you plan to do some sort of burn this weekend, try to wait as long as possible or until the wind completely dies down. Live in Quincy, Michael Pilarchi, KHQA News.
Michael, thank you. A Hannibal man died in a crash this morning about 3 miles north of Macon. In other news today, the Missouri State Highway Patrol identified the victim as 62-year-old Sterling Owens. Now, the patrol said Owens was driving a pickup truck around 8:30 this morning on Highway 63 when he crossed the center line and hit an oncoming tractor trailer head on. Now, the semi was driven by 49-year-old Dennis Armstrong of Rockford. He was not injured.
Still to come, a new study shows women often skipping mammograms after a false positive. We'll show you what that study means for your or your loved one's health. Next on KHQA News at 6.
You're watching KHQA News at 6, working for you.
New in Adams County on this Thursday, the Adams County Ambulance Service now has its eyes on a new piece of land for a new home. The county plans to build a new ambulance station at 29th and Chestnut Streets in Quincy to house equipment and staff. Archer Daniels Midland donated the land, and Ambulance Service Director John Simon says the decision on this location boils down to response times.
Starting to see more calls on the eastern edge, and so by us moving the ambulance station from the 16th Street corridor out to about the 30th Street corridor, that we can continue to be centrally located for all of our calls and to serve the public in the best manner possible.
Now Simon says construction should be complete sometime this June.
Tonight at 6 o'clock, women often skip their recommended mammograms after they receive a false positive result. That's according to the American Association for Cancer Research. Well, a false positive is a reading that looks like cancer at first, but then it turns out to be non-cancerous. The study shows that women often skip these screenings due to trauma from the initial results. About 12% of mammograms produce a false positive. According to Dr. John Schlepphorst, 3D imaging may help reduce the rate of this happening.
The whole idea behind screening is to catch them very small. It's hard to do that, or harder to do that without 3D imaging. 3D imaging takes one little slice at a time, one slice of imaging at a time, and so it can then expose or make that breast cancer more obvious.
Well, breast cancer is the leading killer of U.S. women. Every year it's diagnosed in 200,000 women and a few men and kills around 40,000 people.
New in Quincy tonight, some fun news. Hines Dance Academy visited Madison School in Quincy to teach kindergartners some dance moves. Take a look at the video on your screen. The lesson taught students dancing techniques and the most importance of leadership. Now, teachers say the experience helps students expand their vocabularies. It also gives them material to write about later in class.
I like it when she showed the picture of the Grand Plie. I liked the new moves. I like to get out of class and dance today.
I think everyone can relate to liking to get out of class. Hines Dance Academy was brought to Madison School with funds from the Quincy Arts Dollars. And Rich, this forecast, that's something to dance about.
I'll do the Texas two-step. We got a forecast that includes temperatures in the 60s to around 70 till further notice. And what about that chance of rain? We'll check that out coming up next.
Your exclusive 7-storm team forecast.
We begin this evening with a live look through our sleep-tight sky cam. A few wispy clouds here and there, and just about an hour or so, a lot of that is going to be gone. So enjoy the mild weather while it lasts. This is February. It's unusual. You got 60 and 70 degree weather this time of year. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take a look at the latest numbers. 67 the high, 26 the low, 39 and 23 is the average. 6:56 the sunrise forward tomorrow. Right now, let's check in with Quincy Regional Airport with a temperature of 60. Dew point is 31, southwest wind 13, 2968 the barometric pressure and holding steady. Macomb, you got a few clouds hanging overhead, but otherwise the temperature is 54. It's dropped quite a bit in the last hour. Humidity 44%. South-southwest wind now at 7 miles an hour. In the meantime, the temperatures are a little bit on the varied side for the most part. We got 63 in Hannibal, 61 at Keokuk, 62 in Novelty, but 66 at Kirksville. Now 57 at Jacksonville compared to 62 at Pittsfield. Wind is somewhat diminished from the southwest down to about 10, 13 miles an hour. It was much more than that just in the last couple of hours, gusting to 28 miles an hour. But now that we've lost the heating of the day, that wind has really kind of calmed down quite a bit. So all we have now is just a little bit of high cloud cover streaming in from the north, any kind of precipitation well off to the northeast, and we've got rain and snow off to the west and snow across New England. Really, the rest of the country is quite quiet for the most part. Now, the forecast in motion does pick up on a little bit of this cloud cover, just going to sail along the Mississippi River, and that's going to be about it. Temperature-wise, we're going to see very little day-to-day change over the course of the next 5-7 days or so. Then we'll start to see a slight chance of showers early next week. And I hate to say we've decreased it to a slight chance because most of the energy that we thought was going to give us a fairly good wet start to next week now is going to be shifted well to our north, unfortunately. So until then, Tonight, slow down to the low 40s. Wind out of the southwest at 5 to 10 under a mostly clear sky. Sunshine tomorrow, high up near 70. Southwest wind 10-15 miles an hour. I wouldn't doubt the National Weather Service will put out more red flag warnings for tomorrow for a good chunk of Missouri into central and southern Illinois because of the low humidity, even despite the wind only at about 10 to 15, but still very mild temperatures and along with that dry conditions. Now, the long range forecast. Again, there's very little hope of a lot of rainfall here in the 7-day outlook. So 70 tomorrow, 65 Saturday, 70 on Sunday. Even the overnight lows will be extremely mild. Monday, 70, 65 with a slight risk of showers early in the day on Tuesday, but still very mild even right through that period. Really, the only next best chance of overall rainfall is going to be the end of next week, and then maybe next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, maybe a bit cooler, but that is a long way off. I just need to have a couple of more runs of data before I start really kind of harping on it, hopping, not harping, but hopping on that bandwagon. Somebody asked me, what about the buds? Because we're starting to see some buds swell up on some of the bushes and some of the trees. Well, Mother Nature has a way of balancing some things out. You know, it's just a wait and see kind of thing, but this is awfully early.
It is early, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah, absolutely not. Going to enjoy the weather for as long as we can. Well, coming up in sports, Chris Stewart takes us to Pleasant Hill to talk about an unlikely role the boys basketball team is taking on. He'll explain next on KHQA News at 6.
Now, from across the tri-state, this is KHQA Sports.
Well, for as long as I have worked here, and it's been a long time, I have never before said these exact words. With the Illinois boys basketball postseason opening next week, Pleasant Hill is suddenly in the unusual position of shouldering the burden of expectation.
Feels good, you know, we don't get that a lot.
We had something to prove from the very beginning. I told them a couple of years ago, with a lot of hard work and buying into the program, that we could have success.
It's been a goal, my 4 years to win a regional here, and we have that chance, and I'm really looking forward to it, and for the town, it'd be really big.
With regional play set to open at Berry next week, area basketball fans are being forced to reckon with the most unique and compelling conundrum thrown our way in years. That being, what to make of Pleasant Hill. With a 15-7 record, the Wolves have certainly earned their lofty 2 seed in the complex. But just how willing are you to believe in the prospects of a program that prior to this season hadn't won a tournament of any kind in nearly a quarter century, and that just 4 years ago looked to be dying on the vine with just 2 varsity players in the pipeline? That is a lot to reconcile. Just know that the Wolves themselves know your doubts and are driven by them.
We don't like it going into games, people not thinking much of us, and then we like coming in and dominating, showing them who we are.
We're family, it's a brotherhood, and we work well together, and it's just what we do.
It's the diversity. You know, we got I tell them we got 5 guys that can score. Each one of them has a separate role. You know, we usually put Nick on the toughest. He's got the toughest job of defender. We got Grant inside. You know, Russell's long, alters a lot of shots. Dalton Crane has stepped up and done a nice job of point guard for us. People have really come on board and believed in what we're doing and supporting us. You know, shows that a small school, 75 students, can win.
I hope we win the regionals. I mean, I think we can. We just got to try hard, put our hearts into it.
We've beat Brown County twice now. We beat Berry twice. It's going to be hard to beat them a 3rd time. So we're just going to have to bow our neck and go to work.
First day of state wrestling off and running, and great results on 2 sides of the borders today. We'll start off with our Southeast Iowa contingent. Fort Madison, the brothers Steffens-Myers, each with big wins out of the gate. Harlan by tech fall. Brother Ryan also a winner by pinfall today, and 3 of our 4 Class 1A wrestlers in the state of Illinois and Champaign off to winning starts. They include Brett Hamble of West Hancock, who won a tight decision at 126. Zach Haley out of Quincy Notre Dame continues to be a gathering storm. He wins by a 15-0 count and a tech fall in his first match. And also the outstanding sophomore from Beardstown, Chad Grimm at 182, a winner. Our only first-round wrestler to drop into the back draw was Pittsfield's Joel Cook. We'll have more wrestling results and plenty of playoff basketball coming your way tonight at 10. We'll see you then.
We're enjoying the temperatures immensely, but Mother Nature has created some dangerous situations in the tri-states right now.
A number of wildfires have been reported, and the fire department's trying to get that out, but it's all because of low humidity, plenty of fuel available, and the dry conditions. So just avoid kind of any outdoor burning whatsoever till further notice.
Great advice. Thank you, Rich.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us for KHQA News at 6 tonight. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll be sure to see you back here at 10 o'clock.